Good morning. Good morning. Good morning from Farmington, New Mexico, Casablanca Inn. Wanting to talk about my favorite crop today, potatoes, how to grow them anywhere and how to save the world by growing healthy, health-driven food. So I want to start, first of all, today we're going to talk about show how to use bags and container bags to grow potatoes. We're going to talk about the soil first that goes into it. The soil I use is Happy Frog out of Humboldt County in California. It is potting soil. It has mycorrhiza and humic acid, which is all natural minerals, and it also has bat guano in it. And I don't like to use any additives. And I've learned that actually this thing called photosynthesis actually works. So you don't have to add things to your soil. So here's the Happy Frog bag, the potting soil. Here's 2 bags sitting here. We're going to plant 2 different types of potatoes here. Here is some bags of the same variety. And as you see, they're starting to yellow and they've been in the bags for 2.5 to 3 months. But as you can see, the plants still grew from these soil bags, and there's dead tissue that's showing a sign of maturity. The vines are laying, but inside the soil, we have so much plant residue. They're still growing real good. When I'm away from watering, I have a little water container here that's got a kind of a leaky valve, and so I fill it up and it leaks into around the soil and in the bags. I put the bags in on top of a soil or a brick. It doesn't really matter, but if you have it on soil, they'll actually root through the sacks to help the plant out. And as you can see, though, they're still quite large. Out in here from the pots that I had last year, you can see potato plants growing. I leave the milk thistles out in there for the monarch butterflies. And these are all potatoes growing in different stages, just of different varieties in different stages of growth. And they can get quite big, and we use residue and compost from our cooking to add to the soil. And they're all in varying stages of maturity, so that way you can eat out of your garden beginning as soon as you can plant. And then I also have some gemstones. I like to call potatoes gems of the earth. So I just want to add that having some gemstones sometimes helps the crop. We call our potatoes gems of the earth. So, number one thing on bags, I've used different colors. I've used bigger ones and whatnot. These hold about 5 gallons. I prefer to have white fabric because they show black fabric and things, and that heats the soil up. And the thing about that is, it's a problem, is that actually potatoes set their tubers at nighttime air temperatures. And so the bag color is important. The cooler it is, the more potatoes get set in the bags. So with that, I'm going to find a place to prop this up so I can show what's going on. Today, we're going to be planting in one bag. We're going to be planting, it's a russet. It's a small tuber. It's aged. It's been sitting in a bag waiting. It's been in the sun. And so I leave it in the light in the house, and they don't sprout in the very readily in the sunlight. Potatoes sprout in the dark. So this is called the Yellow Rose, and it's from a breeder from Texas A&M, and my daughter is the one that owns the variety, and it's a russet with red eyes and yellow flesh. It was bred for health compounds. Here's the bigger one. To note, this is one of the most important parts of the presentation. This seed was grown, and it's the first stock grown in the world from an organic state in a greenhouse. So all potatoes at all stores, whether you get them in the organic section of the organic store, or because see people telling me that they go to organics to buy their potato seed. I would not buy any potato seed unless I know it's pathogen free. And so the main thing here is this has been certified in a lab by state regulatory agencies, and it's also been certified by an organic agency, Oregon Tilth. Oregon Tilth is the oldest organic certifiers in the United States. And so this potato here was grown with no methyl bromide that they commonly use in all potato development in greenhouses. All potatoes at the store come from tissue culture. This used to not be the case, but this is one of the things that happened in the 1980s. Tissue culture became a way of increasing and growing plants. This next tuber right next to it is a bigger one, and as you see, it's got smaller. It's an older one, and it's kind of soft. But if you look at it, it's got we keep it in the sun, it doesn't sprout. It doesn't make these elongated sprouts. So these two are going in the same one of the bags here. Got two. And then here, this is one that we found in a storage. And this is from the same breeder in Texas A&M. This is called Harlequin Gold. And if you see, it's got a really strange looking pinto bean type look to it. That's from the health benefits of anthocyanins. But you see growing in the dark how long the sprout is. So we're gonna plant these two different ways. And this is what we found these in the dark. So this was in a storage shed. We forgot we had a box of potatoes, but here's zero waste for you. So this potato here grown in a bag will produce another 12 to 20 potatoes. So we got two of those. And then we're going to do different methods on those so people will understand what to do with potatoes. So with the two smaller ones, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 4 inches of soil into the bag. The bag is about 14 inches high, and we're going to plant the potatoes in about here. But I'm not going to fill this up completely with soil today. I'm going to put just enough soil in the first bag to get the potatoes to we're going to put the soil in, put the potatoes in, put about 2 inches of soil over the top of them, and then we're going to water it fully. So that way this potato here can absorb moisture along with this one, because potatoes are 85% water. And then that way they can grow. Potatoes, the stems of potatoes do not like to grow through wet soil. So we're going to put the mother tuber into moist soil so she can do her thing, sending the sprouts up. Okay, so now if I can find something to prop this up with. I'm going to cut into the Fox Farm Happy Frog mix. It is a beautiful, got some perlite in it, but the quality from this company just is over the top from what I see. That is what's in this bag that had no added nutrients. Basically, the potatoes are going to draw all the nutrients from the organic matter from this potting soil. So the first thing to do now is to fill up the bag. Bear with me while I get the soil into place. Put the soil in the bag. It's dry, and I smooth it out, kind of get it so I can get as much soil in as possible for the uniformity of the bag. I'm going to put just a couple more scoops in there. Smelling it. Good soil has a unique smell to it of the fungi giving off a beautiful smell. This has just a bit of dampness in it. So there we go. We got the dry soil in the bag. In this bag, like I say, I'm going to put 2 at a time in. So this is the first one. It's grown from the greenhouse, first globally planted organic with nothing, no synthetics on it, certified by Oregon Health. It's going to go in the bag. We're going to place it right there. And we're going to get the second one. This would have been the first year progeny from another one grown in a greenhouse the prior year. This potato, a little bit of history on this particular potato. It was actually grown in Farmington, New Mexico, and this was harvested last December. So here it is in August, still plantable, still viable, still can provide food. And by keeping it in the light, the sprouts never elongated. It's a little soft, but the moisture, this is the critical part, is you put these in there, and I'm going to now add some more soil on top, and then we're going to thoroughly soak this bag, but we're not going to finish filling it. So I'm covering up these. Okay, they're covered up. And now the trick is to really make a healthy potato is to I'm not going to put any more soil into this until the potatoes emerge. And then as they grow up through the bags, I'm going to continue adding this soil in a dry fashion to it. But right now we're going to fully soak this bag now. And this is what's going to get the potatoes turgid again. We're going to fully soak this. I'm going to put a lot of water in it because the soil is absorbing it. Potatoes love the moisture at the seed piece, but they do not like to come through dry soil or wet soil. Excuse me. They like coming through dry soil. So that's it for that one. It's ready to now germinate. I missed a little spot here. Okay. There's number 1. 2 potatoes in there. Yellow Rose of Texas. I'm going to take this, draining a little bit. I'm going to put it right next to these other potatoes. These are all the same variety. Okay. Now we've got another bag. This is a different stage of growth and why potatoes are the food that you can survive on. These potatoes here weren't stored in light. They have actually a foot long, if not longer, sprouts. The potatoes still are viable. They're a little bit soft. That doesn't mean anything, but in this case, we're going to actually fill the bag up, put the potatoes in that like we did in the same placement on the other one, and then we're going to actually fill it completely up and water the whole thing because the sprout's already there and the plant will then bud out within a week or so. So we'll start again, filling the bag. There's a little water in the bottom. That's great. The fabric will soak it all up. Helps the potatoes. I like to uniformly get the bag out, like I say, to get as much soil as possible so we can get as much tuberization as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to take this longer one and I'm going to place it in there and kind of lean it up on the side of the bag. Number 2. Now I'm going to water the base where the tubers are. I already sense they like it. Now I'm going to finish on this one. I'm going to put now I'm going to put dry soil on top of on all of the rest of it, so it can have the structure to hold the stems in place that's already formed from being in the dark. Soil starting to make a nest for these two lovely ladies that we're planting. Potatoes are all mothers. They produce daughters. I'm kind of taking the soil now and I'm forming it around there so it's not, so the potatoes are far enough away from each other to not really compete. They're about an inch away from the side of the bags, and I'll keep adding soil to them. And then put a little on the edge of this one so it stays upright. Filling. Soil bag is full. There is the growing tips of that will become foliage. And in this case, I'm going to water right down in it because the stems are already through the dry soil. So I can water this up now, but if otherwise, I would not water them up because these are already up at the top of the bag. I'm going to fully hydrate these, place it next to the other one. And we have two different methods here. These smaller ones with no sprouts, they do not want to come through the wet soil of this one. This one's got wet soil for the long sprouts. Potatoes are zero waste. So with that, I'll take a little stroll if you don't mind, and we'll go through the garden of potatoes. And there are different colors of stems, different stages of growth. This one is laying over and starting to mature. When they lay over, that means that they're starting to senesce or take the energy from the plants to the tubers underneath. Potatoes are very, 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 very durable. These potatoes were planted about 45 days ago. I plant in stages so I can have continual growth. And these have been planted. They're from Chile, and they're smaller potatoes, and they're just now you can tell that they can grow pretty tall and lanky because they're seeking light. But we'll go over here and go through the back here. This is we did all these we planted all these, and these are ready. These are starting to mature. So we've been digging a few to eat, and we've taught the neighbors, and they're taking care of them. So these are potatoes growing. And here's one that we planted in a pot with the same soil. And as you can see how tall and lush that foliage is in the plant. We've taken out the weeds and we've changed it, and we've got another one growing here. And then we go over to the Chilean garden. And these are all potatoes, different varieties from the island of Chiloé in Chile. I do a lot of work with people all over the world with plants to put them into the mouths of people. These have not even, the consumers haven't tasted any of these yet, but you can see how many plants you can grow in just a small area. And so these are all in different stages of growth. Some of them are flowering. The folks next door have been coming out and graciously watering them when we've been looking at potatoes on the road. But as you see, this was all weeds here 2 months ago. Now they're all food sources. There's going to be thousands of tubers coming out of here. And I'll just walk through the yard a little bit. I'm really proud of the place, the Casablanca Inn, and I'm really loving the urban side of agriculture because I'm taking you over to show you the edible peas that they have growing. And these are perennial peas, and they are growing on a stalk, and they have beautiful flowers. And just look what you can do. Look what you can do in an urban setting. Casablanca Inn has lavender growing. They're just a really nice. They're just some really nice people. You can see everything growing here. And walking up to the kind of a nature's desert oasis here, mullein, and believe it or not, there's some potatoes growing in there, and they're in varying stages. And there's a potato growing with these beautiful flowers. And you can see they're growing along with rose bushes. And we go over here, we've got flowers, some more gems of the earth. But then as you walk along over here, one of the nicest things, we've already had 2 meals out of this, but this big blue container here has potatoes now maturing of different kinds. And this is what we just take out our compost into, and our drainage off of things we cook, and we feed these plants. We've had 2 meals out of this big pot already, and another one to come, and all of them are different varieties. I planted about 15 in different stages of growth in this. Must be about a 3-foot tall vase. Well, with that, I'd like to end the planting presentation.